I can still hear the tone he used that morning. So calm. Almost bored. As if he were announcing he had changed his mind about what to cook for dinner. He placed his coffee mug on the counter and looked at me like I was a stranger. I am getting back together with my ex, he said. I cannot stay in this anymore. 15 years married. 2 grown children already in college. A life we built from nothing. And it crumbled to dust with one soft sentence that sounded practiced. I waited for him to laugh. For some hint that this was a twisted joke. But the silence that followed was heavy and real. I swallowed hard and whispered, "All right." That was it. No pleading. No tears. No dramatic scenes. Just one word. And somehow, that single word shook him more than screaming ever could. He blinked, confused, like he expected chaos. When I did nothing, he muttered something about not wanting an argument and walked down the hallway that suddenly felt like someone else's house. I stayed where I was, frozen, staring at his back until it disappeared. We met in college. He was loud and charming, the kind of man who filled rooms without trying. I was steady, reliable, determined. The girl who showed up, who fixed things, who built her world piece by piece. Once, he said he chose me because I brought peace to his wild life. I guess peace tired him out eventually. That night, he slept in the guest room. I did not sleep at all. I sat by the window with the streetlights blurring as tears gathered in my eyes. It was strange how 15 years of shared laughter could suddenly dissolve into a silence that felt endless. By morning, he was already gone. No goodbye. No note. Only a text message. My attorney will contact you. Please do not make this difficult. Difficult? What could be harder than breathing after that? Harder than trying to pretend my world did not just fall apart? By noon, the doorbell rang. A man in a tailored gray suit held an envelope in his hand. "Mrs. Hayes, you have been served." Inside were divorce papers, financial statements, demands written in perfect legal language. He wanted half of everything. Our home. Our savings. Even the lake cabin my father left me. He walked away to reunite with an old flame. And still wanted half my life too. I did not call him. I did not call my lawyer. I went to the attic instead and pulled out an old photo album. Our wedding day. He looked confident and thrilled. I looked like I believed in forever. I shut the album. Forever had expired. That evening, his attorney called. "We expect your answer before the end of the week," he said, clipped and impatient. Mr. Hayes wants an efficient and respectful separation. Efficient. Respectful. Words meant for business deals, not broken vows. I replied quietly, "Tell him he already left. We are just finishing the paperwork." The line went silent for a moment before he sighed. "I will let him know." Later, I made dinner for one. Chicken, steamed vegetables, rice. Simple. Healthy. The kind of meal he always mocked as boring. I stared at the empty seat across from me. Strange how a chair could feel louder than words. The next morning, I woke with a decision. Not about my marriage. That was already over. A decision about myself. I would not fight. I would not beg or trade insults through lawyers. He left. Fine. He would not take my peace with him. The following day, I closed our joint bank account. I transferred half to him and half to myself. Clean. Equal. Then I called my lawyer. Write a response saying I agree to everything. I want nothing from him. Just end it. She hesitated. "Are you certain, Eliza?" "He is." "I am sure," I said quietly. "I am done walking in circles." That afternoon, his attorney called again, frustrated. "What game are you playing? You cannot simply accept everything without negotiation." "I think I just did," I replied. "You are not understanding. Mr. Hayes believes." I stopped worrying about what he believes the moment he stopped caring about how I felt. There was anger on the other end. A raised voice. A desperate attempt to regain control. When he finished, I simply said, "I already walked away," and hung up. For the first time in months, the silence felt peaceful. 2 hours later, my phone rang again. His name flashed across the screen. The same name that once made my heart flutter. Now it just felt like letters. Eliza, he rushed out. My lawyer says you did not negotiate. What are you doing? I agreed, Matthew. You can have everything you asked for. He went quiet. So you are just quitting, he finally said, a laugh hiding panic. I am letting go. You are trying to make me feel guilty. I do not want you to feel anything. You made your choice. I am just accepting it faster. You sound like you do not care. I swallowed tightly. I cared for 15 years. That is long enough. The call ended without another word. That night, I sat on our porch with a glass of wine. We had celebrated birthdays here, anniversaries, lazy Sundays. He once promised he could never imagine life without me. Turns out imagination is powerful. Over the next week, I signed every document sent to me. Friends called me foolish. You cannot let him walk with everything, they insisted. They did not understand. It was never about things. It was about peace. And peace is not negotiable or shared. By Friday, the divorce was finalized. 15 years reduced to digital signatures and an email confirmation. I thought that was the end. It was not. A week later, his lawyer called sounding baffled. Mrs. Hayes, he believes you are planning something. He is unsettled by how agreeable you are. I laughed softly. Tell him I am planning to live my life. I have seen hundreds of divorces, he said slowly, never one like this. I have never lost the same person twice before, I whispered. 2 days later, Matthew appeared at the door. He looked tired, unsure, smaller somehow. I just wanted to check if you are all right, he said, glancing around like he did not recognize the home he once ruled. I am fine, I answered. You did not need to come. She is not who I thought she was. I nodded. She never was. You are not angry, he asked quietly. I was. Anger is a room with no exits. I walked out. His eyes glimmered. Do you hate me? I looked at the man who once felt like my entire world. The man who promised forever then walked away from it. No. I just do not know you anymore. He stared at the floor. You changed. I had to. You left me no choice but to find peace in places you never looked. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. You really meant it when you said all right, didn't you? I smiled faintly. I absolutely did. When the door closed, something inside me loosened. Not joy. Not pain. Just freedom. Weeks later, I sold the house and bought a small lakeside cabin near where my father used to take me as a child. Each sunrise painted the water in gold, and I learned to breathe again. Sometimes I thought about him, not with rage or bitterness, but with quiet understanding. Love does not always end in fire. Sometimes it ends in acceptance. Sometimes someone who once completed your story becomes a memory from another chapter. And if he ever wonders how I let go so easily, I hope he remembers the day he said he was going back to his ex. And I answered, all right. That word was not defeat. It was the beginning of my peace.